has been made abundantly clear that those who hold these, I think, common sense and pretty mainstream positions who are attacked, unfortunately, some destructive false shots don't just come from the far left. And that's what I'll admit to learning in these last couple of years. But those in the liberal media, you're worse for using in that lamestream media the unsubstantiated, untrue hits. It's not fair to our country. It's not fair to the electorate. It's not fair to our democracy. And it is not fair to our troops willing to sacrifice all for your freedom, journalists. Okay? If I were in that loop, though, if I were in hierarchy of leadership in the GOP to rally the troops, you know what I'd say? I'd say, okay, folks, we've got 46 days to go. I'd say, DeMint, you're awesome. We need you down south. Mitt, go west. GW, we need you to raise funds. Crystal, Krauthammer, you got to go east. Alveda, Rush, go deep, go anywhere, everywhere. People are listening. Hannity, Levin, Beck, Michelle, Laura, Tammy, all y'all, we need everybody working together. Prager, Sol. I'm going to get in trouble for missing some names, so I better stop. But, and Carl, go to here. You can come to Iowa. And Karl Rove and the other leaders who will see the light and realize that these are the normal, hardworking, patriotic Americans who are saying, no, enough is enough. We want to turn this around and we want to get back to those time-tested truths that are right for America. But Iowa, but we won't wait, though, as we desire the sincere effort, knowing that, yes, everyone can help, those with scruples working together. The GOP, this is it, GOP, this is our time. We can't blow it, GOP. But we won't wait for that political playbook to be handed us from on high, from the elites, to tell us what to do. We won't do that because it's we, the people, the average, everyday, hardworking American people, the patriots who will turn this around. It's the voters who will stop these leftist policies. The voters will stop this fundamental transformation of America that is not good for America. It's the patriots who will restore America. Candidates are offering bold and smart alternatives to the Obama-Pelosi-Reid, that overreach agenda. Our constitutionally based solutions will secure our future and preserve our liberty and get our economy back on the right track. Of course, that hasn't stopped the left from telling voters that the GOP is just the party of no, that it has no new ideas. I find that really interesting. It's a critique coming from the guys whose answer to the no recovery summer is yet another government stimulus. It's nonsense. Like today we see California auditors having to admit that they're in LA. There were a handful of jobs created with your stimulus money, about 50-some jobs to the tune of $111 million. That's about $2.2 million for every job saved or created there. And I'm the idiot. Yeah. But the left keeps arguing that no, we've got no new ideas, that the only plank in our platform is no. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, President Obama was in Milwaukee, and he was telling everyone that the Republicans are determined to disagree with him about everything. He said, first, I don't want to be disagreeable, but I think he's wrong. There are things that we can't agree on. For example, the president said, Republicans would disagree if I said that the sky was blue. Not true, the sky is blue. He said Republicans would disagree with him if he said that fish live in the sea. And there again, not true, fish live in the sea. And when unemployment rose to around 10%, he said, not to worry because there are better days ahead. And I agree, there are better days ahead. November 2nd is just ahead, and that's shaping up to be a great day for America. we can agree on. The president just finally announced, proposals. He says we'll get the economy moving again. He finally wants a certain development tax cut, a credit, and that's fine. And he wants a tax write-off for business investments like trucks and equipment. Good idea. I particularly liked those ideas when they were part of the McCain-Palin platform back in 2008. But folks, the Democrats' overall tax policy is so flawed. Raising taxes in a time of economic woe will fail America. Come January 1st, when we are slammed with the largest tax increase in U.S. history, Club for Growth warns us that you're going to see 80% of the taxes paid by the small business sector rise. Small business, the backbone of our economy. Nearly 1 million businesses hit. That's who Obama characterizes as the rich. They're going to get slammed. And that means these mom and pops will have to lay off workers. We're warned. It means that families will lose health insurance, losing homes. More and more families having to go on welfare. They're having to rely on government then, being more beholden to the federal government. And this is a vicious cycle, and it makes you wonder. Ask yourself, do you think that these failed policies are purposeful? Or do you think that our president and his handlers are just so naive and inexperienced and maybe have never run a business before? We need solutions. And the solutions, instead of tax hikes, in this one that they're talking about, January 1, and it is an increase, it's just another taxpayer-funded bailout. This time it's for Congress itself. Instead, let small business owners keep more of what they earn so that they can reinvest in their business and expand and hire people, instead of letting politicians take more from you and spend it on more government growth. No, cutting taxes, it works. Mayors do it. Leveling the playing field to allow competition works. The free market principles work there. Governors do it. The free market works, inviting competition. Hey, so feds, let the private sector soar, and America will soar again. So have we been just the party of no, GOP? Well, the truth is, if you love your country and you love your liberty and our Constitution and you prize individual strong work ethic and our pioneering spirit, then you probably haven't been much to find common ground with in this administration. They think the answer to every problem is another federal program. And they think that we can reboot our economy by cashing in clunkers and weatherizing windows and loosening light bulbs. And by supporting foreign countries' natural resource development instead of our own, regardless of those foreigner standards or substandards when it comes to workers or environmental safety. Yet not allow our own resource development of domestic supplies here in America. They think that America's future should be dictated from the top down, not the bottom up. They think that there just is nothing exceptional about the American people. They have faith in big government when we have faith in the people. We believe what Ronald Reagan believed, that government is not the solution. Too often, government is the problem. We believe as Ronald Reagan believed, that government must work with us, not over us. It must stand by our side, not ride on our back. And we believe that the world is a safer place when we stand up to our enemies and stand up for our allies. These days, the president's approach to foreign policy, it seems to be, as one European official put it, enemy-centric. The president writes friendly letters to Iran's leaders and yet picks a fight over housing policy with Israel, our strongest ally over there. He reset relations with Russia but cancels missile defense plans with our NATO allies. He's eased sanctions on Cuba but failed to move forward on trade agreements with Colombia and South Korea. And he can't muster spending time or meaningful support for Iranians risking their lives by opposing Ahmadinejad, but he found the time to send a report to the UN claiming our country's alleged human rights violations. There's a disturbing pattern here of reaching out to sworn enemies while slighting our proven friends. Folks, that's not foreign policy. That's just foolish. And how long can that go on? And as we just saw recently, if that wasn't enough, our president still refuses to admit that the surge in Iraq was a success, even as he's surging troops into Afghanistan. Seems he's more concerned with the politics of withdrawal than with the pursuit of victory. And while the threats to our security grow, he's shrinking the budget for defense against those threats. The Obama administration's foreign policy is a far cry from Ronald Reagan days. President Reagan nurtured our allies. He confronted our adversaries. He had clarity and vision and purpose. He knew that an evil empire deserved to be left on the ash heap of history, and he had the courage to say so. He called it as he saw it. I remember for me, just a young girl, the 4 words that he spoke as I shared that grave concern with our country and for our country and the world's safety, wondering, how are we going to be safe? That curiosity as to how could we and our allies be secure against an evil world? Reagan said it and solidified his commitment. He said, "We win, they lose." Few leaders have the clarity and the courage and the conviction to define an era, but Ronald Reagan inspired us to greatness. He saw and he spoke to the heart of America. He looked out at soaring inflation and skyrocketing unemployment and a Cold War. He didn't see despair, though. He saw the dawn of a new day, because Reagan understood the exceptional nature of America. He knew that what makes her exceptional isn't her politicians, it's her people and the founding principles that they hold dear. Those things are principles and our people. They've enabled us to weather tough times before, and they will see us through the challenges that we face today. President Reagan said his revolution was really just a return to those principles that he called the great rediscovery of our values and our common sense. I think if he were here with us today, the Gipper would agree that we're due for a little rediscovery. It's time for renewal, restoration of honor, and those time-tested truths. And it may take some renegades going rogue to get us there. It may take folks shaking us up, shaking it up, to get there. Remember, Iowa, it was those type of folks who were the founders of our nation, the freedom fighters, those who wrote that Constitution that we're celebrating tonight. Now, it means then being perhaps sometimes that party of no, saying no when we have to policies that violate our Constitution and our values. I've said it before, I think a little refutation now and then is a good thing. It's like Mark Twain used to say, patriotism is supporting your country all of the time and your government when it deserves it.